stirring the Sumatra coffee with one huge chopstick and one pig head on a stick using the Vortex method, the only true way to optimize the taste of your coffee at the molecular level. Good morning. Welcome to the Daybreak Show. I am the Sultan. We'll get started, but first, Sumatra coffee, which used to be my favorite prior to Ethiopian. Smooth, nice. Definitely has a taste of its own. Earthy. Let me get some other words to describe it. Earthy, almost chocolate. I'm getting a chocolate vibe. It's almost like borderline hot chocolate. It's got that very rich, earthy taste, whereas Ethiopian has a, when I say earthy, it's more like potting soil. You can taste the dirt, so to speak. This one here is chocolatey. Yeah, Sumatra. Frank Sumatra. I'm slightly irritated because I can't find my glasses. I usually keep all my glasses. When I get a new prescription, I keep them. So these are probably a prescription from 2 or 3 years ago. And the ones that I normally wear, I can't find. I had them last night in the Van Gogh room. And I walked in the house and I retraced my steps so many times. But they'll show up when I'm cleaning. It was raining today, pouring rain when I took my walk this morning at 4 a.m. My legs are soaking wet. I wore a yellow jacket, like a raincoat. You know, like the kind of construction workers or like road crew guys wear. It's like a high-vis yellow with reflective stripes on it. I have one of those. And I have the pants that go along with it too. And those are good for working around the house, or they're too heavy to bring on a hike. They're big and bulky. They are not compact at all. And if I wore the pants, I would be waking up the neighbors because they make noise when you walk. The jacket was good. I'm dry everywhere. I had a hood on. I had my high-vis hat on with reflective strips, so that was good. You got to be seen if you're in the dark. I think that's important. But my feet are wet, and my legs are wet from about mid-thigh down. Not a fan of walking in cold rain. Snow, that's a different story. Rain, maybe I'll just take a day off from walking when it's cold and rainy. I don't know. I got to think about that. This is the second time that I did it. And it's just not enjoyable when it's cold. Can you break up with somebody fast? I mean, like whoosh, like no looking back. You know, that's a superpower, to be able to come to the conclusion that a relationship is not working and walk away from it with zero regrets. Can you do that? It's one of the toughest things you'll ever do, but once you master it, and you only master it by doing it, but one of the things you can do is you can master it in your head if you have to. Somebody remind me of the story of the guy that was a prisoner of war, or was chained to a radiator in a prison or something, chained to a pipe for years. And he played golf every day in his head. If you remember this story, put a comment down below and let me know where it came from. Was it maybe Brian Tracy, possibly, that told this? And the guy played a round of golf in his head every day. He literally remembered every hole that he played when he was home and free. And he would set up, he'd have his swing perfect, he walked the course, played 18 holes in his head every single day to remain sane while in solitary confinement. And the story is that when he was finally released and back home, when he played golf, he played a perfect game. Because he practiced it over and over and over here. Now back to the breaking up with fast. Preppers, we know what to do when crap hits the fan. We're prepared. We know what to do. We have supplies. We know the actions we need to take. We know who we need to protect. We know who is a threat, or how to assess and evaluate a threat. We know how to survive with no electricity, no running water, no food. But that's why we prep. But one of the things you do is you go over scenarios in your head. You do drills. Any firemen out there? I know I have some firemen. I think there's a fireman in Utah. L from Utah is a fireman. I know I have a fireman in Philadelphia, I believe, who's following me, and whose guys watch this channel as well. But you drill so that when the real thing happens, you're not stumbling. Why not have mental drills? What's going to happen? What will you do? Think about this, and I tell you this all the time. Pre-plan your responses. How many times have I said that to you in the past 4.5 years? A lot of times. Pre-plan your responses. Your spouse says, this marriage is not working. I want a divorce. What do? Do you flip out? Throw chairs through the windows? Kick the cat and the dog? Slam doors, drawers, punch holes in walls? What do? Or do you respond? Do you react or do you respond? Have every scenario played out in your head and have a number of contingency plans about everything in life. Everything. It's not being negative. It's not being negative. It's being prepared and it's being smart. I've seen the smartest guys tell their wife that they want a divorce. There's an argument in the kitchen. The guy goes to work. He comes home and the locks are changed. Good, buddy. Good. Good job. Because you reacted to everything that happened. You reacted to her reaction, who then reacted to your reaction, and then you end up with this chain reaction, and everyone's in a shit show. Pre-plan your responses to everything. Can you break up fast? I mean like whoosh. I mean 0 regrets, no looking back. Can you do it if you had to? It is a superpower. The good news, she is great at oral sex. The bad news, she's great at oral sex. Some of you will understand that. Others will be like, whoosh, whoosh. Martin Luther says, whoever drinks beer, he is quick to sleep. Whoever sleeps long does not sin. Whoever does not sin enters heaven. Thus, let us drink beer. Martin Luther. I wonder if that was before or after he was putting insulin in his belly. I want to live with a cinnamon girl. I could be happy the rest of my life with a cinnamon girl. Neil Young, 1969. Weird lyrics. Neil Young always has. He might have been experimenting with organic matter prior to writing these songs, but musically phenomenal. As a matter of fact, today when I'm taking my shower, I'm going to listen to the best of Neil Young. That's what I'm going to do. On the Bose SoundBlink speaker. It sounds like you're in a concert hall. It's incredible. Do you have a Bose SoundBlink? I have had all kinds of Bluetooth speakers in the past maybe 10 years, 10, 15 years. Got them when they were really expensive. Now they're pretty cheap. JVC, Sony, some of the bigger brands. The best Bluetooth speaker I've ever had, ever, is the Bose. I remember playing my speaker, and it's only this big, in a backyard. It wasn't my backyard. and I had it on the railing of a deck, and I was playing it pretty loud during this backyard barbecue, pool party kind of thing. And someone said, "Man, that sounds great. Where's that coming from?" They couldn't find the big speakers. They were looking for big speakers. And I said, "It's coming from that." And I pointed to my little Bose SoundLink. He's like, "That sound is coming out of that?" And I said, "Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?" And I've had, the one that I have now, I've had it for 6 years, and I love it. At the time, it was about $300. I think now you can probably get them for about 200. Even the small ones, it's like a little, about that big, they're probably 100, 150, but the sound is insane, absolutely insane. Fear's favorite food is delay. Every time you put something off, you grow the fear monster. Every time. What are you putting off today? What are you saying, "I'll do it tomorrow"? What is that one thing where you are saying, "I'll do it tomorrow"? What is that thing? You know what it is. Checking your accounts, taxes. You have to have a doctor appointment. Are you putting a doctor appointment off because you're afraid of what you might have or what they might find in your blood work? Don't delay. There's someone out here right now, you're delaying going to the doctor and getting lab work. I sound like a televangelist right now. There's someone out there. You've been putting off that lab work. You know who you are. You're living in fear. But there's someone out there. You're putting off your lab work and you're living in fear. And you need to get that lab work done. Get a baseline, which means just see where you're at now, and your doctor will help you to be where you need to be. Just do it. Do it. Fear is the only thing keeping you from doing it. So delay feeds the fear. The more you delay it, the more the fear grows and becomes a monster. It's never too late to get your shit together. Never. 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 85. It's never too late to get your shit together. May I remind you of Colonel Harlan Sanders, who at 65 years old started Kentucky Fried Chicken, also now known as KFC. 65 years old. 65 years old, which means I got 5 years before I start my next big business. 65 years old. Amazing, isn't it? When I look at Jesse Lee Peterson, he's a newer friend of mine. Jesse Lee is 71 years old. No sign of slowing down at all. None. Strong handshake. You saw my interview with him, the conversation that I had with him, give him a hug. That was not hugging an old man. That was like hugging a statue, a granite statue. The man is solid. You can tell he goes to the gym, he takes care of himself. It's never too late. No man wants a fat, out of shape woman. And no woman wants a financially out of shape man. See, it's hypergamy. Okay. And the sky is blue and water is wet. Women want a guy with money. That's a discovery. You actually had to read a book and watch 5,000 videos to figure that out. And men want a girl that's not fat. Gee, you're one of those smart ones, aren't you? Life is like a poker game, according to John Hoover. You guys know John Hoover. If you look around and can't figure out who the chump is, it's you. That is definitely the phrase of the year. Life is like a poker game. If you look around and can't figure out who the chump is you. You ever been in that situation? I have. What smells better to you, frankincense or myrrh? What do you like? When I burn incense, I mean, I have incense sticks. I used to have incense cones. Now I just get like the chunk incense and I put it on charcoal. And when you get myrrh, the regular grade myrrh really is tree bark that has the resin in it. So when you burn that, you're kind of getting a burnt bark and then the resin smell as well. And I'm kind of digging it. It almost, I don't want to say it smells like a pine tree, like Christmas trees or a pine forest, but there's a piney, terpene-y smell to it that I'm not getting from frankincense, which is more of a lemony, kind of a lemon. Frankincense smells like lemon to me. Citrusy, bright. Myrrh is more settled. I burned some myrrh in the Van Gogh room, and I walked in, it smells like a pine forest. Last night when I went in there, it smelled like a pine forest. It smelled good. I liked it. It was good. It was cleansing. I didn't smell anything else except the pine forest. It was wonderful. But I need to get the next level up, kind of like a higher premium grade myrrh. I buy incense by the pound off of Amazon. So what do you like, frankincense or myrrh? Or both? What do you like? I took a poll. 74% said frankincense, 26% said myrrh. Montgomery County, where I live, warns of an exponential COVID surge as hospitalizations rise. That's from the Patch news that I get for my area. How interesting, right on time, right before the election. Let's keep people in their houses. Trump is going to win. It's going to be a damn landslide. If you don't have law and order, you don't have anything. The Patriots will provide law and order when the government can't. Promise. Why should you be intoxicated, my son, with a forbidden woman and embrace the bosom of a promiscuous woman? That's from Proverbs 5. Embrace the bosom of a promiscuous woman. Why should you be intoxicated with a forbidden woman? A forbidden woman would be a woman that's not yours. A woman that's not your wife. Intoxicated. In a trance. Can't stop thinking about her. Her shape, her form, her beauty, her garden, her hips, her butt. You get yourself intoxicated thinking about that forbidden woman. She is the fruit growing on the tree on the other side of the fence that you just can't reach. So you start climbing the fence and reaching and reaching. Stop reaching. There is a woman for you, ultimately, somewhere. I know you doubters and haters don't think that, but there is somebody out there. And it's got nothing to do with, some people will say it's height and looks. Not necessarily. They don't hurt. They can help, but it's not the rule. Some people say, well, it's a man's character. Well, that's BS too. Because the first thing a woman sees is what's on the outside. For instance, I'm getting to the point now with my beard where wherever I go, not the white women, the black women, making the beard comments now. Started this week. I'm digging that beard. Strangers, just strange, not strange. They're not strange women. They're strangers to me. I don't know them. Making comments to me about my beard, complimenting it. And when it's shorter than this, or if I just have a goatee, no comments. It gets this length. Black women coming out of the woodwork wherever I go. That's okay. It's all right. Certain things appeal to certain people. That's all right. This is almost like the wearing this. If my beard could speak, it would say, white women stay away. Do not enter. White women do not like my beard. They do not like it. I don't know why. They just don't like it. They liked it when it was shorter. Just an observation, not a judgment. You race baiters. I want to know a car's history and mileage before I acquire it. Any misrepresentation of the mileage is a deal breaker, and it's actually illegal. If a car has 120,000 miles on it and you set the mileage back to 60, you can get into trouble with the law for misrepresenting the mileage on the car. So now let's talk about dating and marriage and misrepresentation. How do people misrepresent themselves? Well, first let's talk about men. How can men misrepresent themselves? Height, which doesn't matter. Some people say it matters because I know plenty of guys that are shorter that are crushing it with women. Plenty. And it's got nothing to do with game. It has everything to do with personality and thinking tall. Of course, there is no substitute for being tall. But if you walk around with short man syndrome, people can sense that. You know, like when you're around a dog and like you're kind of afraid and the dog's owner says, oh, no, just reach out and pet him. They know when you're afraid. Women know if you are ashamed of yourself for being short or not handsome. Women can sense that. That's why you need confidence in yourself. That's independent of what people think. So how do men misrepresent themselves? Well, on dating sites, it's height, usually. Old pictures. Pictures when they had dark hair. Things like that. A rental car. Vacation spots in the background. But the real life, they live in the hood. Or a shithole. And drive a 1989 Jetta. How do women misrepresent themselves? Well, let's go back to men. Men like to talk about other men, to other men, about how many women they've had. They overinflate the numbers. When women talk about their numbers, they usually bring the number down. Men like to brag about how many women they were with. Women don't like to do that. They want to remain as conservative as possible. That's just a fact. Facts don't care about your feelings. How else do women misrepresent themselves? Probably the biggest thing that has brought all that out is dating sites. You know, pictures from here up. They're built like one of the great pyramids of Cairo. But all you see is the pretty face and hair from here up. It just goes deep and wide from here on down. Makeup. Women can put on a face. Women can put a face on that doesn't exist in nature. Show me a woman who's beautiful without makeup and without the hair all done. That you might be scratching the surface of natural. But most hair is fake. Hairstyles are fake. Makeup is fake. False eyelashes. Lipstick. The clothes they wear. It's all fake. 100% fake. And then sexual partners. Oh, I've only had a few. Okay. All right. I only had a few boyfriends. There's a difference between how many boyfriends you've had and how many men you've been with sexually. People just need to be honest. Just be honest. And be ready for the consequences. You can't hide that stuff forever. I was telling someone recently, I have major regrets about my sexual past. And depending on what crowd I'm with, one crowd will say, why? You should be happy about that. I'm not happy about that. I'm not happy about that. A sexual past is the result of insecurity. It has nothing to do with sex drive or the male sexual imperative and all this nonsense. It's 100% insecurity. You have a spiritual, innate spiritual desire to create life, to reproduce, to multiply, to be fruitful, not to screw. There's a difference between having sex to create life and create something for yourself. And I'm not talking about the ego, build a kingdom for yourself kind of thing. I'm talking about let's just get down to nature. There's a difference between that and just blowing your load in 20 different women every month. Or on them. Come on, let's get real. It's fulfilling for 5 seconds. It serves no purpose. And the deception and trickery and fuckery that accompanies it degrades a man's soul. It wears away on your character. It makes you less virtuous. Men high-five each other for how many women they've had. Men, I have a friend who only had sex with his wife. Imagine that. I want to high-five him. Boy, that would be wonderful to have been with one person. I think that now. I do. You might think that too in the future if you're a man. So don't be all sad about being an incel. I have nothing against incels. Nothing against the involuntary celibate man. Don't be ashamed of the fact that you haven't had sex or haven't had a lot of sex. Do not. But don't be intoxicated by the breast of a forbidden woman either. Prostitutes are not the answer. A man with 25 sex partners is different than a woman with 25 sex partners. Or do you get all egalitarian and say, well, it's the same? What about men? Ladies, stop it with the what about men. That door does not swing in both directions. You having 25 men in and on you is different than a man being in 25 different women. A man deposits something in you, a life force in you that stays in you. It gets absorbed by your body. This is why women go a little bit wacky, a little bit wackadoodle, because you're taking all these energies in you from all different directions. Maybe it's one at a time. I've only had boyfriends. I'm not a slut. Well, you might have had just one guy after another your whole life, with a couple in between. I'm not pointing the finger. I'm saying that it affects you mentally and emotionally. It's at your core. You can't do it. And if you've done it, how do you undo the damage? Well, you can mitigate it. You can't undo it. And it takes effort. So don't buckle down and double down and defend it, because it makes you more mentally ill and you spiral deeper into darkness and I don't want to say craziness, but irrationality. Why can't we just all get along? We can if we stop the bullshit. As Coach EO would say, cut the bullshit. And with that, finish your coffee, and I'll see you tomorrow on the Daybreak Show, your home of sanity, clarity, and reason.